Hey everybody, this is Jeannie at Richland Sewing Center on Wednesday, and I'm flying in the door. I had Bible study this morning, and then we had a Bible study luncheon, so I got back here about 10 minutes ago and to get ready for talking to you today. So a couple of announcements. One, if you're in Quilt Club here at Richland Sewing Center, we normally meet the third Thursday and Friday of every month, and this month, that would have been this week. But this is Holy Week, so we are not having it this week. So just to let you know for sure, Quilt Club is next Thursday and next Friday. So just to make sure. And as a reminder, if you're paying any attention, I issued that challenge and passed out fat quarters at the last meeting, and I've had a couple people, including someone that's here right now, show me the block that she made with the fat quarter. So that was the challenge, so don't forget. And if any of you did not get a fat quarter, come and I will give you one, so you'll have a week to get that done. The ones that I've seen, I've only seen two, and one is one of the Lindas that's here right now sewing, and it's really, really cute. So we're doing a good challenge on that. The other thing, I accumulated another bag full of mug rugs for Easter, and so I took those down to Meals on Wheels yesterday. And I actually went inside the office this time. Normally I just ring the doorbell and they come to the door and I hand them the bag and tell them who they're from. This time the door was standing open for some reason and there wasn't anybody in that hallway, so I went on in, and I had been in there a couple other times too. And I handed him the bag and he said, Richland Sewing Center? And I said, absolutely. So we're getting a reputation there for the mug rugs. So thank you to any of you who brought those, and know that you can bring them anytime. They can be for any holiday, any special event, or just generic, anything at all, and we take them down there periodically. So thank you again for any that did bring them, and I'll look forward to seeing some of the others that you're going to bring. I want to show you, and I think you'll probably guess what these are. Can you see it? This is the sole and the bottom of the tennis shoes. We're doing a class on make your own sneakers. And so you have to buy this kit, and then you're going to quilt the fabric to make the top, and then you put the eyelets in and you sew some other stuff, and they're so, so cute. I've showed them to you on the live before. But if you get a supply list, which is on our website, if you don't come into the store and get one, you need to order this, because this is from the company. We don't stock these here. You order those, pay for those, they will ship them to you, and then you have your choice of white or black. So that's what these are, okay? So I'm going to show you, I'm going to turn this around, and what I have been working on is this quilt, and what I'm showing you right now are some of my appliques. I've got a lot of things pressed on. There's some cookies there. There's a tree on the top, which I think you can see. There is gingerbread house and gingerbread cookies, and I haven't done any stitching on here yet, so I'm going to be doing some accent stitching as well as some applique. And then these are some of the piece blocks. This one has a bow, but it gets a few more designs here too. Oops, I'm not showing that very well. And this one has a cookie in the middle of the piece block. This one has a cookie, and back here, this one has a cookie in the middle. So I have to do the applique on those, and it looks like one of my frostings, this is the icing. It looks like one of them kind of slipped, so I'm going to have to come back with an iron, I think, and fix that one. Well, now I can't find it. Oh, well, and I'll get that taken care of. So I'm concentrating. I think I'm ready. I'm going to start doing some applique just to give me a break from what I have been doing, because I love to applique, and I haven't been able to do it very much. So I'm going to come back over here to the machine, and I am doing what I would recommend anybody do that's getting ready to do applique, and that is test stitching. If you've ever taken my quilting class, my Learn to Quilt or anything like that, I always suggest test stitching on your seams to make sure all your seams match and things like that. And that's just a little stitch that's maybe 10 stitches, about this long, so that if you have to take it out because it doesn't match, that's okay. You only have to take out 10 stitches. Well, these are test stitches for applique. So I've been doing these, and this is a very small sample, but I would recommend, if you get a decent sized piece of fabric, and make sure it's a different color in the thread you're going to work with. I have a royal blue embroidery thread on my machine, so this is a white piece of fabric. I also did some over here on this red, and you really can't see it. If I come really, really close, you might be able to see it a little bit. I want to show you a couple features that some of the machines have that are really kind of fun to do. This particular stitch over here, I don't know if you notice, but some of the appliques that I have to do are tiny, tiny circles. And by tiny, tiny, I mean they're like a 1/2 inch in diameter. It's really hard to applique really beautifully around a circle that's that small. You like have to do one stitch and then move a little bit, and then one more stitch and then move a little bit. So sometimes it's a lot easier if you'll use a stitch that's very narrow and very small. The stitch that I selected was like this, and then I made it a little smaller on that front part. I think you can see it. So if you choose a tiny stitch like that, it accomplishes two things. One is it makes it easier to go around things that are very, very small. And some of you do like to applique by hand. Now, I don't. I do everything by machine because normally the applique that's done by hand is on a folded under edge. It's not a raw edge. When I do my applique, I'm sewing on the raw edge of a piece of fabric, so I need to make sure that the stitch is really covering the fabric or holding it down real well. When it's this small, it will hold it down very well. And for those of you that do quilts, you're probably not going to wash those quilts a lot, so sometimes that makes a difference too. Now, the normal blanket stitch that I do is over here, and you'll notice it's a little different here than here. Some blanket stitches do a triple stitch on the side, on the straight part, and then they do what we call the bite, which is the part that jumps over to the left. Here, I made it a little bit bigger, but this is still doing a triple stitch on the edge. This is the one I use most of the time, and it just does a straight stitch, over, back, straight, over, back, and so forth. So that's the easiest and quickest to do. When you're doing the one that repeats on the edge, you really have to pay attention to your machine, because if you turn, like right here, if you turn at the wrong time, your stitch is going to go off to another direction and it's not going to look very pretty. So I was mentioning the other day, because I have these little gingerbread cookies on this quilt that I'm working on, and I talked about using decorative stitches on there instead of cutting out those itty bitty bitty pieces that are supposed to look like frosting. So this is one that I can use for the smile. See, doesn't that look like a smile? And then this is the decorative stitch. These are another one, and I want to show you, if you look at this stitch and this stitch, they are actually the very same stitch. But I have this neat little thing on my machine that lets me change the density of the stitch without changing the stitch itself. Now, another thing you want to consider is the thread you're using. I'm using regular embroidery thread, which is a 40 weight polyester. This is a metallic thread. It's also 40 weight, but it kind of goes through a little bit thicker. This hasn't been taken out of the wrapper yet, but it's a little bit thicker, so I might need to use a top stitch needle on something like that. This is sulky cotton thread. We carry a small amount of this, but I have almost every color that they make hidden in the closet over here. 30 weight is thicker than the standard embroidery thread. It's not shiny because it's cotton. This also comes in 12 weight. And when you use the 12 weight, you really can't do a real satiny stitch or a one that repeats very much because it's really almost too thick. But this is the case when you want to use a top stitch needle to do that. And this is the thread I was talking about the other day when I was talking about the position of threads. This is monofilament, or what we call invisible thread. And if you're doing a design and you don't have a lot of confidence in what you're doing with applique, like when I go around those circles, I might want to use this because the thread's not going to show quite so much. And I know that sounds silly, but it really would help with that. So you got to think about your needle and remember how you put those things on there. Now, normally when I'm appliquing, I'm going to use this, which is the open toe foot. And it was so cute. A gal was in here taking a lesson the other day, and Erlene was helping her with some applique. and she had her put an open-toe foot on the machine, and the girl was just amazed. She said, well, that's like putting on a pair of glasses, which I thought that was really a good, quit laughing, Linda. I thought that was really a good comment, because what it does is it gives you full visual of exactly where your needle is going on the fabric. So that is there. The one I actually have on the machine is an N foot. It's a wider stitch. It allows for side motion stitches, and like the Viking, it's called the S foot. So some of the other companies have feet that are equivalent to this. And this one has some little supports on the back that go around the ankle bar to do that. It does have a tunnel under it. So when you're doing applique stitches, which like satin stitches or thicker stitches, it allows that thread, that stitch, to go under there easily without getting bogged down. So I want to show you this one little special feature. This is my regular basic stitches. It's under utility stitch right here. I think you can see that. This is a blanket stitch, and this is the one that just takes one stitch over, back, down, over, back. That's the most common and the easiest to use for blanket stitch applique. Almost every machine will have that, but not all of them do. So this is when I really suggest that you get a piece of fabric and practice. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here and select Character Decorative, and it's going to say, is it okay to delete that stitch? And I said yes. And when I come over here, I have a whole menu of stitches. Look at here. Here's where the bar is. This goes on and on and on and on. It's got so many stitches. But what I'm going to choose to show you something, this is hard to do through the iPad. Hold on. I'm going to stitch category 12. And I want to go to stitch 59, I think it is. Let me see. I'm going to go down here. Because remember, I wanted to do some little icing decorations on some of those cookies. So there's that stitch, which is a little satiny stitch. And I'm going to show you. It's right here at the top of that piece of fabric. It's that top one on the left, the blue stitch. And I think that'll work really well. Some of the stitches, when you choose them in this menu, won't let you change the width and the length. This particular one will. But watch this. I've got another button up here, and I have a little button over here that it's actually density. See, it has a loose zigzag stitch and then a satiny looking stitch. So watch what happens when I touch that. Look what happened. Did you see the difference? If I go back, it's spacey. Here, it's real satiny. So that's what I did here. With the ones at the top, see, you've got a little bit of space between the threads. The one at the bottom is real dense. So if you're trying to do something, particularly for an accent stitch, something like that works great to be able to make it more dense. Now, that command is not on every single stitch, so I don't want you to think that. But on some of the menus, it is there. Now, if you were doing stitches on, say, a crazy quilt, and you had it layered with batting and backing, that wouldn't be a good thing to use because it would have a hard time getting through there. Also, some of the stitches that repeat a lot, if you take a stitch like this, it's probably going to go backwards, sideways, all the both directions, and it just wouldn't work real well. I'm going to choose that. Notice it asks for the end foot, and this stitch is actual size. It's bigger than the width of your stitch. So your foot is going to move the feed teeth sideways. I'm trying to find one that's a little bit bigger than that. I know I've got some here, but of course I won't be able to find it while I'm sitting here because some of them are really, really wide. I'm going to choose one of these decorative ones maybe. Let me come over here. Here's some stars. See, look how big those stars are. Those are bigger than the foot, so that's why that side motion. And then there are some that are quilting stitches that are really, really big. And I'm not sure if they're at the bottom of this menu. No, they're not. And of course, I won't be able to figure out which menu they're in. But they work really, really well. But you really can't just sit down and get started without doing some practice. Practice a corner. Practice a curve. On this one, I actually did some little tiny stitches on that seam, and that's the same one that's over here on the side. Play with your width, play with your length, and the smart thing to do is take some kind of a pen that will write on your fabric and write down what machine you're at, what menu you're at, the width and length, and then when you change it, like on this one, I would write stitch 1259, regular, and this is 12.59 high density. So that way when I go back to actually use those stitches, I don't have to sit here and look over and over and over and find it. Because chances are all the stitches that most of you have on your machines, we have those favorite stitches, and we do them over and over and over, and we don't get real daring. But it's really fun. I'm giving a class on decorative stitches later this quarter, and I'd love to have you take it. I do have a purse pattern, but we may just play. You have so many stitches, and most of them you can change the width, you can change the length, and really have a good time with those. So it's really fun. I'm going to turn this back around maybe. Okay. And come back over here. I had a couple people respond yesterday that they would like to go back to the spinning wheel and for prizes. So I'm going to try and do that. You have to be patient with me, because what the rule is, and I'm not going to do it this week, it would be next week, is you have to make a comment on the Facebook post the day I talk about it, and then I put the names of the people who made a comment on the spinning wheel, and then we do it live while I'm on here, and I have some nice prizes to give away. Okay, so I hope if you really want to do that, I will take care of doing it. We had a drawing yesterday that has to do with our Top Texas Shop Hop, and the Shop Hop has 2.5 more weeks to go. So if you're still participating in that and you haven't been in yet, make sure you do get in here. We really want to see you. If you have questions about what I was talking about today, you know, make me appliqué, because I just love to do it. So I'm hoping to get some of this done this afternoon. We've got church tonight and church tomorrow night and church Friday night, so it's going to be crazy. But I did get to ride my horse last night. It was a beautiful evening. So I took Ranger out. He's the one that always has a problem of some kind, but he was pretty good last night, and he was excited to be out. So we had a real good time. It was a lovely, lovely evening and time to ride. So be happy for me I got to do that. Sassy did not feel good all day yesterday. She had had shots the day before, and it really got to her. Her little hips were sore, and she just wanted to lay around all day. She wasn't moving. She wasn't playing. She wasn't doing anything. So I had Doug come and take her home yesterday afternoon. Today, she is wild and crazy like normal. So she feels a lot better. So in case I was talking about her in front of any of you, you know that. So I will try and see you. I have Design Center class in the morning, and I will try and see you at 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Okay? So thanks for tuning in, y'all. Give me a comment. Bye.